Going on, everyone? Today, 80% of the S&P 500 actually closed up in the green today as Iran retaliated by firing missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar. This made for a wild day in the market, and it is very easy to get trapped if you don't understand what's actually happening right now. But of course, there's also some very exciting opportunities that come from moves like this as well. So in today's video, we're going to deeply cover why the market is moving like it is right now so you can understand and read what's happening and make money from it. Like I said yesterday, Tom is on vacation, so he won't be with us this week, but we do have a very exciting episode. So getting right into it, we could see that whether we're looking at the S&P 500, ticker symbol SPY, or even oil, it was a crazy, choppy, wild day. From this weekend's events, we definitely saw a little bit of a scare as oil prices initially popped higher, but as time went by, they started to fade back down. Like I said in the intro, Iran actually retaliated today, sending missiles at a U.S. military base. Initially, this would sound like really bad news, and it's certainly not good news. But the main reason that we saw oil prices tank and the S&P 500 just fly is because this retaliation was much better than what everyone was expecting. Iran fired these missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar. They were intercepted, there were no casualties, and on top of that, the best part is that Iran actually warned the United States and Qatar before this attack. And they did this to minimize casualties and basically just limit the amount of damage they could have just caused in general. And when you look at these actions, what this ultimately is, this retaliation, is not a retaliation where they are looking to inflict significant amounts of damage and continue to escalate this conflict. They are basically doing this retaliation solely for the symbolism that comes along with it. They don't actually want to fight, because if they did, they certainly would not have warned everyone ahead of time and proceeded with their actions like they did. The market interpreted this as a very good sign, because the major risk right now is if we end up in one of these endless spirals where Iran retaliates and then the U.S. retaliates, and it's just back and forth, conflict and war and tension. And based off of today's events, the market is pretty confident that we're not going to see that. This is a good thing in the sense where it could have just been much worse than it actually ended up playing out. So in a trading sense, it is important to embrace the chaos. If you are someone who thinks that this situation has the potential to develop into something horrible, like I know there's certainly a fair amount of people out there calling for World War III and other significant escalations. If you're someone who believes that, then that's fine and all, but you should still be happy joining in on some of these short-term uptrends, and vice versa. If you're someone who thinks that the market will rip throughout the rest of this year and you see this conflict blowing over, at the same time, you should also be happy to join in on some of the short-term downtrends. But in a market sense right now, the market is no longer concerned about this conflict. Of course, the world is always changing, so as new information comes in, there is a, almost certainty that investor preferences will change. But as of how it stands right now, the market is very happy with how things are turning out, as we can tell just by looking at the SPY price action, but even more importantly than anything else, as we can tell by looking at the price of crude oil. This is definitely great to see. So while we look at the market over these next few days, it is holding strong, but in a realistic sense, the S&P 500 is still stuck in the same zone that it has been stuck in basically for the entire month of June. So if you want to, of course, you can try and trade this, and we will have some specific SPY levels as the video goes on, but you have to ask yourself, is this the best opportunity to, put on risk to, of course, potentially make a return? For some people, it might be, but I think realistically, there are better opportunities right now looking at individual stocks because the moves are cleaner, bigger, and honestly, just much smoother. And one of the stocks that definitely had a lot of great movement today and some real news driving it was Tesla. This stock popped up by 8% today, and if we look at an intraday chart, it just crushed it. The news that came along with this is that Tesla is actually finally releasing their Robotaxis in Austin, Texas. So they've been talking about this for a very long time, and this first run is just using like 10 to 20 Model Ys, and they do have a person sitting in the front passenger seat, so it's still far from completely autonomous driving, but it is definitely a big step in the right direction. One thing that has gotten investors really excited with this development in technology is Elon Musk has been saying for some time now that eventually he wants Tesla owners to be able to turn their electric vehicles into robotaxis, opening up opportunities for owners to actually earn more than their monthly payments on their vehicles. Tesla stock is definitely running with this recent hype with the robotaxi technology development. Again, it's still far from the final version, but it definitely is a good big step in the right direction. When we look at Tesla stock right now, there are multiple ways to play a situation like this. In the short term, as we know from Tesla's history, and we could just say the craziness that goes along with the stock, when Tesla has real momentum, it has the ability, like almost no other stock, to just like explode in a like a snowball effect style way, where the more attention and momentum and hype and just euphoria that it builds, the bigger and the stronger the movement becomes with it. So Tesla is definitely on the radar over these next few days for a potential explosion in volatility. But of course, this does not have to happen with a 100% probability. So it's important to look at Tesla in a way where the opportunity with this stock will be directly tied to how much this stock continues to accelerate. If Tesla pulls back tomorrow and it's down 6% and everyone gets stopped out of it, it's very unlikely that there will not be good opportunity there. But as we saw today, the stock held very strong into close. It finished up by 8% on the day, and there certainly is a chance that we can see a continuation. And if we do see meaningful pressure put on this stock's recent highs, we definitely do have the potential for one of these snowball style uptrends that we've seen many, many times in the past. So definitely keep Tesla close on watch for a potential opportunity, not only tomorrow, but even throughout the rest of the week. If you are looking to keep it very simple, you can always look for like specific breaks past like the 354 or even like 358 levels for potential like breakout spots. So definitely keep Tesla close on watch. But another stock that had phenomenal movement today, but in the exact opposite direction, is HIMS. And I'm sure a lot of you guys like this stock for multiple different reasons. But looking at HIMS, it fell by 34% today. I can't even believe I'm saying this because this stock has been one of the best performing and craziest stocks over the past year or so. I know a bunch of people have made so much money on it, but they had some rough news today. Basically, they lost their deal with Novo Nordisk. Essentially what happened is they are no longer allowed to sell Wegovy on their platform. And Novo Nordisk basically said that they are ending this deal because HIMS was also like selling and promoting the copycat versions of the Wegovy weight loss drug. And Novo Nordisk did not want to deal with any of that. So basically when we look at HIMS right now, the stock is getting killed. HIMS is a company I really like for the long term, and I think that there's going to be multiple opportunities that come along with this event. Firstly, when we have a stock down nearly 35% in a day, especially this quickly and this violently, it definitely causes a lot of the people who bought all the way up here and even lower at lower prices than that to have an urge to sell out because they're scared that, you know, the stock just fell by 35% and now it's sitting right around $42 a share. What happens if it gets down to $37 a share or maybe even $30 a share or maybe even worse, $25 a share? And people don't like to lose money, right? So because of that, they rushed to sell out, which is exactly why we saw this bloodbath style price action today. This sort of situation is not something that just shows up one day and disappears the next, especially when we see a move of this magnitude. So basically, when we look at HIMS right now, there definitely is real opportunity continuing to feed the fire that is is happening right here in pushing the stock lower, whether that be through short shares, buying put options, or doing any other bearish action. With trades like this, it's important to know that the stock fell by 35% in a day, and while there's nothing that can stop a stock from getting even more overextended, there is always that risk of a potential pop back up, and that is something that exists all the time. So basically with HIMS, there is opportunity to continue to feed the fire and pressure the people who are selling out right now and to profit off that. But it's extremely important to have very tight stop losses so that if the stock does start to pop up, the amount you'll lose will be very small relative to what you could have made. Additionally, there's also opportunities playing the broader situation at hand. Again, like I said, HIMS is a company that I actually really like for the long term. I don't love it at this price, but I do think there could be some great opportunities for longer term dip buys, especially as the sell-off continues to play out. I would not be surprised if HIMS got back to like the low 30s, and when that happens, there can definitely be great opportunities for longer term dip buys, whether it be shares or if you want to get a little bit more risky, maybe even options, and there can be a lot of great opportunities that come along with this as well. But when you see a move like this happen, there's no way I couldn't cover it in today's video, so definitely keep a close eye on this stock. It is in play. It is moving with insane amounts of momentum, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have made a lot of money with this one over the past few years anyways, so it's definitely probably a favorite ticker, so definitely keep it close on watch. But in addition to the HIMS destruction, the Tesla euphoria, and all of the market craziness that we have going on with Iran, we also have a pretty exciting event, not only this week in general, but more specifically for tomorrow. So basically, we have the big man, Jerome Powell, set to give his semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress. And this is actually going to happen pretty soon tomorrow, 30 minutes after open. Essentially, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, is going to be testifying in front of Congress, and sometimes these events are pretty entertaining because he could definitely get grilled sometimes, and what he says certainly has a meaningful impact on the market, because not only does this give us like a rare, we'll say like direct communication with Powell, but he also gets asked questions at these events that he wouldn't ordinarily get asked at, let's say, an FOMC interest rate decision. So basically, tomorrow, 30 minutes after open, and then Wednesday, 30 minutes after open, there is real opportunity for some pretty good movement. So definitely consider paying attention to this event if you are able to. If not, just keep a close eye on the news. You could say on Twitter or even in the StockedUp Discord, because there should be some pretty good statements that come from this. So definitely keep that in mind. When it comes to Powell situations, it's impossible to predict what Powell might say and what questions he might be asked. So it's more so an opportunity in the sense where if we do see some, meaningful statements come out and we do see an intensification of the momentum to the upside or the downside, there could definitely be short-term trend riding opportunities that come along with that. So definitely keep that in mind. But also for tomorrow, the earnings lineup is pretty dead, which I'm certainly not complaining about given everything else we have going on in the market, but I definitely did want to cover this as well. And then when we do look closer at the S&P 500 or ticker symbol SPY, we can see that we are back above $600. So what a crazy move. Very exciting to see. And when we look at SPY right now, like I said, we're back above $600. Right now, the next major level to look at is this 602 area. Looking at this point, it has rejected off this a handful of times throughout the month of June, and in a broader sense, the S&P 500 is still very close to its all-time highs, but it is truly lacking the momentum to get us, through all-time highs. So when we look at the S&P 500 right now, we know it's strong, we know that there's a good amount of buying pressure that exists, but we're just lacking the momentum, which is something that's not necessarily bad, ahead, but if we do want to see a breakout, it's something that we're certainly going to need. So 602 is the the upper band to pay attention to. Past that, there is some resistance right around like the 602.60 mark as well. So just keep that on watch for a potential secondary level. To the downside with support, there is some support at 600 and 597. So definitely pay attention to those levels as well. Like I said earlier in the video, SPY has been stuck in the same range that it has been in all month long. And it's hard to justify like forcing trades with SPY in this type of environment when it's just chopping around. If you see great opportunities with SPY, take the shot. But if not, then consider just trading other areas of the market where you can potentially get better, just bigger opportunities. And a lot of those have been with individual stocks lately, like Tesla, HIMS, you could say CRCL, you could say CoreWeave, and others. And we're going to cover a lot more as video goes on as well. But I definitely wanted to bring all that up. But one other thing that I definitely wanted to mention is that when we do look in a historical sense with data going all the way back to 1950, we could see that we are in a time of the year that is normally a little bit slower and choppier. In summer months, this is somewhat common, as we can see by looking at this data. So I just wanted to bring this up as well, just so you can get a broader view about what the market normally does in situations like this. But also when we do look at, post-election years, which is what this data is specifically looking at on the chart here, we do tend to see like a pretty good rally towards the end of summer. So that is nice to see. So definitely keep that in mind. And besides that, let's jump right into some specific setups and predictions. A stock that is definitely on my radar for tomorrow is Teladoc. This stock crushed it today. It popped up by 14% and had one of its best days in a very long time. They actually had some good news today where Citron Research basically made a very positive post on them, talking about how, or at least comparing them to being a coiled spring with a $1.2 billion market cap. They say that they're the largest telehealth company on earth, and they certainly have some significant opportunities with improving their operations. Long story short, investors love to hear this. You can read the whole tweet here if you want, but investors loved to see this action. Teladoc is a company that crushed it in 2020. So I know for our traders who have been trading for the past 5 years or so know. Teladoc was one of those stocks that at one point was flying high and was just crushing it. Over the past few years, they lost a lot of market cap, and they're at this point where, basically everyone kind of forgot about them. A lot of people just sold out their shares because the stock did nothing but fall over the past 5 years, and it made for a situation where the company is just at like very depressed levels. And when you have a stock drop this much, this violently, this badly for the past 5 years, it makes for a situation where there's like almost like no like euphoria or just like optimism priced into the shares, and it makes it a lot easier where when good news does come along, like we're seeing now, for there to be big strong moves like we're exactly seeing right now. One thing that's very interesting is that Teladoc has a short float of around 13%. This isn't GME style with 100% short float style situations, but 13% certainly is meaningful, especially given the potential of this stock to move. Essentially, the reason I bring this up is because considering we have already seen this stock move by over 14%, and it does have real attention and just phenomenal price action, the buying we can see here can be more than just people talking about the stock and deciding to jump in. There are existing shorts out there who have been just riding this massive, disgusting downtrend for however many years that might be forced to buy these shares, whether they like it or not, due to risk management purposes, which for a potential long opens up opportunities. So for that reason, Teladoc is definitely on my radar. Like I said, it crushed it today. It had phenomenal price action. There's news driving it. It has, a respectable short float, and it definitely has the ability to move more. This does not mean it has to rise tomorrow, but given the situation at hand, I would not be surprised if we continued to see good moves throughout the rest of this week. Another thing that can certainly happen is, considering that it popped up by 14% today, is it is certainly reasonable to see the stock, maybe cool down a little bit tomorrow and maybe even see a breakout on, you could say, Wednesday or Thursday. The main point is to keep the stock on the radar because it has the ability to move in an asymmetric way. Let's say in the worst case scenario, considering the stock is around like $8 right now, maybe in the worst case scenario, you set a stop loss that is 20 cents away. But in a much better case scenario, if the uptrend continues, it has the ability to move, 40 to 60 cents, like bare minimum, and more realistically, maybe even closer to like $1.50, depending on how much this momentum develops. And to be honest, I might be being a little bit conservative here, especially looking at some of its moves that it's had in the past, just a few months ago. Like, for example, in the beginning of this year in January, where it went from $9 a share all the way up to $15. So either way, it has that crazy potential. Keep it close on watch. Another stock that is definitely on watch is Circle, CRCL. I mentioned this one yesterday as how I am looking to play the potential reversal of this one. The stock has been running like crazy ever since it IPO'd. It went from like $70 a share up to just under $300 per share today. So it's crazy. And the way I look at it is that the stock is getting to the point where it is so overextended. It is involved in the crypto industry, and we have been seeing a little bit of weakness on this front. And we are starting to see just some of the attention fizzle out here. And that hurts a growth hype play like this one. So I think that it offers great opportunity playing it to the downside. But with a stock like this, or with a setup like this, the timing is the biggest risk, because it's certainly reasonable to expect the stock to reverse at some point, but no one can pinpoint exactly when that will be. So with the situation like this, you definitely have to be protective as to how you play it. CRCL is definitely on my bearish radar, where the more it falls, the more bearish I will get. For example, with CRCL, if we see the stock continue to uptrend tomorrow, and let's say it starts putting like meaningful pressure on, maybe not its highs around like just under 300, but maybe a little bit closer to like 290 or 292, that is not a good sign, because as the stock continues to go up, even more people are going to want to buy it, and that's exactly what you don't want to see. Whereas if we do see the stock start to have more of this style price action like it had today, around lunch, you can say, that is going to cause people to get scared, start to sell out. It'll cause other shorts to come in. It'll cause some of these overpriced call options that people have been buying to decay significantly, lose a lot of delta value, therefore having a bearish effect on the stock as market makers readjust their hedges and a bunch of other things. So long story short, CRCL should offer some good downside opportunities, but you have to be a sniper with it, and you can't just blindly jump in at open tomorrow. Like, you have to trade it in a smart way. But either way, it's definitely on watch for a potential opportunity. And then on top of that, as we look at today's momentum plays, we can see Mobileye actually had a pretty good day today, as it popped up by 11.5%, ticker symbol MBLY. And this one is also on watch for a potential continuation if and only if it breaks through the $16.50 area. Another stock that is definitely on watch is Li Auto, ticker symbol LI. They did very well today as it popped up by 8%. Keep a close eye on that $28.20 area for a potential continuation. And then with the last one, Tempest AI, ticker symbol TEM, had a pretty rough day today as it fell by around 4%, where if we do see a break below that like $64.80 to maybe even like $65 area, it can offer some continuation opportunities to the downside. All three of these stocks move in a strong momentum-driven way, which is exactly what you want to see for ultra short-term trades. But as always, your main priority should be protecting yourself. There's always the possibility for any trade to lose, and that's just a part of the trading game. So you have to really focus on protecting yourself. So when those losers do happen, they are small, so your next winning trade can outweigh them quickly and easily. So definitely keep that in mind. the easiest way to control this is how tight you keep your stop loss and then how aggressively you size into the trade. So I just want to throw that reminder out there. Feel free to check out the StockedUp Discord where you can learn all about this for free in the Key Lessons channel with a lot of other great information as well. But besides that, it is now about that time to jump right into today's $451,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol IAC. And today, the big money trader bought the 35 strike call options that expire on August 15th of 2025. They put a little bit over $450,000 into this trade. IAC is a brand that owns many other brands, but mostly in like the online and internet side of things, like actually Investopedia, Care.com, Health.com, and a handful of other ones. Basically, these call options are already in the money, which is always good to see. They have a fair amount of time to them, which is also very good to see. And while it's not the craziest trade ever, only coming in at $450,000, I do really like how these options have a good amount of time to them and that they're already in the money. And this stock is, it's not like an Apple or a Tesla or Amazon or anything like that where it is known and there are thousands of parties trading it at any second. This is more of a company that I'm sure most people have either never heard of before or don't recognize. And in a big money trader sense, that is not necessarily a bad thing, because when you see just a very unusual trade of $450,000 coming into this, the reason someone would put on that trade is, if they see opportunity, right? And because there are much fewer parties participating in the stock's options, it definitely just stands out a lot more, which can sometimes offer some really good insights. So either way, keep a close eye on IAC going forward. It's definitely a unusual options trade, which is good to see, and there could be some opportunities that come along with it. There's nothing wrong with this setup or any other big money trade setup to wait for it to develop more before deciding to jump in. And if we start to see the stock trend higher, you can use that as your signal of confirmation for a potential entry. There are multiple ways to play it, each with their own trade-offs, but I definitely wanted to bring that up as well. And if you are new to the channel, welcome, and definitely consider obliterating that subscribe button so you can get our videos recommended to you more often. Every single day, we cover the most important news, information, chart setups, key events, big money plays, SPY levels, earnings, and basically everything you have to know about the market every single day. And if you subscribe, you'll get our videos recommended to you more often. But we also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Patrick, in the StockedUp trading floor. He crushed it today, and he said, didn't catch the whole move, but the StockedUp algo equals no joke. And yeah, that was a great move. Huge shout out to you, Patrick. Keep up the great work going forward. And it's awesome to see you crush it with the algo as well. So keep on rolling. That is great to see. And if you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to get full access to the StockedUp trading floor. We had some pretty good action with the surge bot today as we had some Teladoc call options pop up by 263%, Tesla call options by 171%, RKLB call options by 114%, and a handful of other nice opportunities as well. If you're more into like pullback dip buy style day trades, we also had the hybrid bot alert 2 bangers with RKLB call options that popped up by 145%, and HIMS put options that popped up by 138%, which is very nice to see. You can check that out, plus a lot more in the StockedUp trading floor with the first link in the description and the comments down below. We are set for a pretty exciting day tomorrow. Again, don't forget about the Powell event 30 minutes after open. It should bring in some pretty good new moves. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush it in the market tomorrow.